Hello, my name is Melody and Joy Jarvis, and I was born in Palm Springs, California, April 10th, 1994. My brother was born not too long after, 2 years later, also in Palm Springs, in August 4th, 1996. So that was a big part of my life, and just having my brother there may end up making a lot of sense in the long run, in relationships in my life, down the line. Anyway, when right before I was 3 or 4, my mom met our dad, um, and he was in the military, and they restationed him, or they transferred him from a California base to Fort Campbell, Kentucky military base, and we packed up and migrated cross country, and we lived there for a few years on the military base housing. Yeah. Um, about the time that I was 6 or so, maybe either just turned 6 or just turned 7, we realized that there was quite a good reason for my mom being sick all the time and having migraines all the time and just not having any energy, like, at all. Um, like I said, we'd been living there for a couple of years. Well, they would have, the government inspectors come in and make sure that we were keeping everything up to par. Um, But what we didn't know is that there was black mold growing in the ventilation system throughout the housing. And my mom is severely allergic to a handful of things, and one of those things is mold. So having black mold growing in where we breathe constantly um, caused her to be very sick a lot. And so we had to get out of that for sure. There were some other variables at play, but we ended up moving to Hopkinsville, I think, Tennessee, and we stayed there for a while. At that point, my grandma was involved in our lives, and that lasted for a little while. I know we went to Sunnydale um, Trailer Park, which is in Clarksville, Tennessee, and we stayed there for quite some time. Um, I think everyone ended up getting evicted out of that housing, and then we went to another trailer park, and we stayed there for a few months, quite a while actually, probably close to a year or so, and everyone did end up getting evicted out of that trailer park. They decided to turn people's houses into a parking lot, so they demolished everyone's home and paved it over with a slab of concrete. Called it good. So that was fun. I was still pretty young at that time, probably 9, 10, something like that. Because after that, I think we finally got an apartment still in Clarksville, just a different school zone. But at that point, I was pretty used to school zones changing up. And then after the apartments, we finally made it into a mid-suburban house out on Cranklin Circle in Tennessee, still Clarksville. Um, Again, I think I started a different school zone when we started living there. But we stayed there for a few years, actually. Um, I got to get through 6th grade and 7th grade there. And then the summer of my 7th grade year, which 7th grade was pretty awesome, I was a Kenwood Knight, or well, in training, if you'd like to say that, because of middle school. But I'd made a lot of friends. I really liked the environment, and the school curriculum was different from the way that it is in Texas. But the teachers and the principals were quite different too. I mean, as a matter of fact, I wouldn't even know that I had lactose intolerancy if it wasn't for Mrs. White, who she is passed well since, she had made her footprint on my life. But she was an amazing woman. I believe she knew Rosa Parks. Like she was involved heavily for rights. Anyway, she noticed that I was getting sick all the time, and I was missing school. And she got with my parents, and she was like, "Okay, look, we really got to get to the bottom of whatever it is that is affecting your daughter, because this is going to affect her education if she is sick all throughout the year, all the time. This is not a common cold type situation. And so she had me go to the doctors, and they actually, since what they did is they requested that I get sent to the doctor and get checked out for allergies or whatever, something, anything. And when they realized I was lactose intolerant, Mrs. White opted for the school to pay for my lactose intolerancy pills. Which after 2008 happened, and when the economy crashed and we ended up having to migrate out here to Texas, not one time have I gotten the same kind of treatment that I did in Tennessee. And lactose intolerancy pills are not cheap. I mean, the enzymes that I need to produce, what I need to break down the dairy protein, is $12 a bottle, $12 to $15 a bottle, and you don't take one a day. It's every time you eat cheese, or anytime that you want a bowl of cereal, anytime you drink milk, eat a cake, eat a sandwich, because the bread's got milk in it. I'll get into that more later. But anyway, you could use 3 to 4 pills a day, and it comes in a bottle that's got 30 pills in it for $15. So they not only paid for the supply of my lactate pills, they also made sure that I ate one before breakfast and before lunch every day, so that I could eat lunch without getting sick when I got home. So, shout out to Mrs. White. Thanks, Miss White. You really changed my life, I guess. Too bad I couldn't really say thank you when you were here. Anyway, so we lived in the mid-suburban house for a while. We moved in on Halloween in 2005 or so. Something like that. 2005, maybe 2006. Things were great for a while, but Dad had to work as a trucker the whole time that we were there, and he was gone a lot. And even still, interest rates went up. The banks kept saying, hey, we're not getting the checks you're sending out. Well, we're sending them out. The money's come out of the account. Oh, well, we can't find it, so you're late. Here's a late fee, that we were sent out foreclosure notices after, and then they'd contact my dad and say, oh, we found your checks in the mail, blah, 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 and we'll do this, but in the end, it was inevitable, and we weren't the only ones that ended up getting screwed over. But they ended up telling my mom and dad that that we had basically two choices. That we could leave with nothing within 30 days, or be gone in, I think it was 3 or 5 days, and they would leave us with like $500 or $800. We just have to hand the keys back over. So, of course, we needed a way to make it anywhere, so we did what we always did, packed everything up, got a U-Haul, and bounced. Moved our whole world across country, and we came to Denison, Texas. Upon initially coming here, we thought that we could seek refuge with some family members. Not entirely sure what all happened with that, but all I do know is that that didn't happen at the time. And so, but that's why we came to Texas. That's why we came to Denison, Texas, because my dad lived and was like born and raised. He was born in Colbert, okay? Or no, he wasn't. He said he was born in Denison. He was raised between Colbert and Denison back in the 70s. 70s, 80s. Yeah. And so we just, this was the next closest thing to home that that he could have offered us, or thought that he could have offered us. And by the time that we were here, there really was no going to another state and trying to start life. We had to start here. We got to Texas July 17th of 2008. We left Tennessee July 13th of 2008. Got here on the 17th, 15th or 17th, something like that. And ended up staying out at the lake for a couple of weeks. It was really hot. Spiders and whatnot. And it was a big change. It was a really big change. And Mom and Dad, we were trying to make the best out of it because we were still pretty young. Then we moved into the Texoma Inn off 69 and 503 in Denison. We lived there for about 6 months. A lot of things happened during that time period. I remember getting changed together with my mom and my brother, and us walking down to Taco Bell and getting whatever was on, the 25, 50, 75 cent, menu. Remember trying to win free tacos because, like, it was more than a game to me at the time. It was if I won this taco out of the stupid little machine with the water in it, then, hey, that means that I could actually maybe get a little more full, because 10 cents in trade for $1 taco is like, it was like a survival guide type thing at the time. I got real fucking good at shit like that. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. I'm 15 minutes in now. I'm not gonna stop it. Yeah. And so then after 6 months of that went by, we mustered up enough to move to 8 Smith Drive, right off 503, next to where those trees are when you're entering Denison. And we lived there for a while. And then that's that's where I started. I think that's where I started ninth grade. Yeah. And had a couple of relationships come and go throughout that time period. Things were still pretty hard, and Dad was still looking for work pretty hard. It was rough. It was real rough. But we made it through, you know. I had a really good freshman year. I guess the reason I'm trying to get all of this out now is because this is the past. This is where I came from. This is what built the personality that was able to endure and withstand pretty much any kind of situation or mentality that gets thrown my way. So we moved from 8 Smith Drive over to Cranklin Circle. Finally got into a house out here. Cranklin Circle was nice, but the house was old, the foundation was bad, and it was covered in earwigs. Actually, I think both the houses in Texas that we all lived at was infested with one thing or another. It's like, but I think earwigs specifically. I don't remember exactly what happened with that lease or whatever, but we moved across town over to Sears Street. We lived there for a while, couple of years. I pretty much finished out my adolescence, being to about 16, there with my family, and it was that point that I started making my own major decisions that would affect my future. I'm sure you could say that I started planting those seeds when we had moved to 8 Smith Drive, but I really started acting out at that point, and I started caring about how I could make a significant other person's life better more than what I could do to make my life better with my family. The seed was planted to start a family and start fresh, and my naivety, I can't even say it's naivety because it's not like I didn't know that that scenario existed. My mom had me when I was 16. And I've never met my dad. And so, I mean, God had me in his hands at that point, because it's very possible that I could have ended up going down the exact same path and, you know, my son or daughter not knowing their father. I'm 25, like, but it would have been, I don't know, it would have been a different life entirely. I'm glad that it didn't happen the way that it could have happened, because I'm here. And I have goals for when I do have children. Anyway, so I came to my mom and I told her, like, the summer of my sophomore year, going into my sophomore year, June 4th, 2010. I came and I told my mom, hey, when you talk, I don't know, I might be pregnant. Chris is leaving for Washington tonight, and asked me to come with him, and I told him that I wanted to. I was under the impression that I could start something from scratch. I don't know why I thought that at 16 that I could care for a child and care for myself and provide for somebody else at the same time. I think I was more under the impression that I would have a life provided for me, which is selfish, and I know that. Nothing about what I did when I was 16 was humble. I'm a completely different person than I was when I was 16. So that did not happen. Just so everybody is clear on that. I did not go to Washington State. I did not have a child. I did end up being told that that I couldn't stay there because I couldn't be trusted, which was really terrifying when someone that I didn't really know was patiently waiting. I wish it had been different. I still know that God was with me because I still made it through all of it. I went from trying to have control over my goals and ambitions as a child, over my hair and my style and my choices, to desperately clinging to any ropes of control over my own mind and thoughts and ability to do anything for myself, still as a child into my adulthood. It's kind of locked up in a quote unquote, I was told I'm sorry for locking you up, hiding the key. I didn't really know what to do as a 16-year-old girl. And I get that. But that's exactly what happened. Mentally, analytically speaking, that's exactly what happened. It instilled a little bit of PTSD and fear into my adulthood. When I get nervous, I clean. I clean everything. Still to this day, I can't handle. It's like I used to think, and still maybe think a little bit, that it's a form of ADHD or ADD, that if I can't focus if it's all in my eyesight. I don't like people getting too close. I fear being treated like a puzzle, like something fun to figure out. I don't do I don't take mind games very well. When I start seeing red flags about mind games, red flags of mind games being played, I start to figure it out. And I make it clear, I state that I start to figure it out because I'm not dumb. It's hard to trust people. Even people that I care about sometimes. Then I know that a lot of that has to do with the anxiety, the extreme anxiety that I already have, not counting the PTSD that goes on top of it. because I was born with the anxiety. The PTSD came with my life. My experiences. The happenings and the mishaps. So after that, after I got out, after I turned 18, 6 days after my 18th birthday, I got out and I started trying to build something for myself. I got my first car. I did have help paying off that car. I also, one of the first times in my life that I felt like I actually had someone who wanted to help me, that cared about my well-being to the utmost respect. Pop used to be so worried about me being groggy in the morning when I had to get up real early to catch the bus before I got the car. And actually, sometimes after, when I was trying to conserve gas, he'd make me these egg sandwiches, just egg sandwiches. It might have been egg and cheese, but I was eating it anyway. I think at the time I was able to afford to get the lactate pills. So I was also working at Kent's Tex-Mex Original Garcia's. This is where I met Casey Thompson. It has become a big part of my life now. And I can't tell you, my hair got really long. My skin got nice and clear. My nails were long and strong, and I felt energized in the morning. And it had been the first time that I really got to experience that, so I kind of hang on to that. I really let that go. Like, I have expectations, I guess. Some people set the bar higher than other people. I went through a real rough patch after I flipped my car. Ended up living in a couple of places that shouldn't have been really sustainable to begin with. One of them was not sustainable. One of them was literally just trying to stay out of the snow. December or January of 2012. Yeah, December or January of 2012. Yeah. Because it wasn't my senior year, it was my junior year. Sorry. And this is 28 minutes long already. Y'all gonna hang with me? Are y'all gonna come along this journey with me? Because I'm just recapping right now. This one video is just getting all of this out of the way. Alright? This is just informing you of a few of the main experiences that caused, me to be part of the person that I am today. Because this person that I'm describing to you now isn't the person that I am now today. This is the prelogy? Whatever. This is okay? Pre-Melody. Pre-Omelga. Still very much me trying to find myself and where I belonged and like what I was supposed to be doing with my life. And I always thought that I was supposed to be taking care of somebody. And this may root from my constant need when I was really young to take care of my brother. And I mean melodramatic, I'm in love with someone who I want to start a life with. Okay, me. Okay, from the time that I was 4 on up, I was wanting, like almost needing to assist in taking care of my brother. Like I for some reason thought that it was my responsibility, but I did it humbly. I loved my little brother. And I still love my little brother, but I know there's a difference in that relationship from that raw, naive instinct to take care of my brother as a child, and now this connection that I have with my brother as an adult. I know there is a difference, and it was raw, and it still is raw, but it was very raw, and we were together all the time. But I did take on the role of being the one that people could be dependent upon to get them through. I took on that role, and I did my best for as long as I could. But I don't think that that's really my role right now. I do believe that God puts me in places to help people, to assist people. But I also believe that He wants me to slow down, and He wants me to think about myself. So if you ask me what I want, and I have been asked recently, what do you want for yourself? What's going to make your life better? What's going to make you happier about your life? What could you obtain? What goal could you set that would make you happy? And I have to sit down and think about that. I know what I need for my business. I maybe don't know everything that I need for my business, but I have an idea of goals to set for my business that would make it better, that could expand it. I have an idea of what I need for my dogs. I need to find land that I can afford with shaded area, trees, okay? I need to build them a house that in turn that I could use, but my need for that is for them to have a place to go that is mine, that is theirs. I need to situate something in my life, a living situation for me. I need another vehicle. I know what I need because I am too anxious of a person not to think about the things that I need. But that anxiety and that PTSD, it doesn't leave a lot of room for me to think about the things that I want. What do I like? How do I like things? What do I want for my life and my future? What could I build for myself and my family, my pack? That's very much what it is it's my pack. All of this video, I hope that it makes sense as to why